Here's something that should make you mad. The reason you're not getting interviews has nothing to do with your qualifications. Your resume probably looks like every other good resume out there. The problem? You're showing recruiters what you did, but you're not showing them what they're actually looking for. And those are two completely different things. I know this because I was the one doing the looking. And what I scanned for in those 30 seconds, it wasn't what you think. Here's the truth. Your resume probably has all of the right information, but it's missing the hidden signals that recruiters are actually scanning for. And I can tell you exactly what those signals are because I've seen them or not seen them on thousands of resumes. I'm Mary Southern, founder of Resume Assassin. I've helped over 4,000 people land jobs at Microsoft, Google, Tesla, Netflix, and Amazon. Before that, I spent years as a recruiter at Amazon, where I reviewed somewhere between 50 to 100 resumes every single day. And here's what I learned. The resumes that got interviews weren't just listing responsibilities. They were showing something much deeper than that. Something most career coaches never talk about because honestly, most of them have never sat in the recruiter's chair. You've been told to quantify your achievements, use numbers, show impact, make it results focused. And yes, that's important. But here's what they don't tell you. Every resume I saw had numbers, right? Every single one of them. The numbers alone aren't getting you the interview anymore. What does get you the interview? These 7 hidden signals that 95% of candidates completely miss. These aren't the obvious things you've heard a million times before. These are the subtle patterns I train myself to spot in those 30 seconds I spend on your resume as a recruiter. So in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through all 7 of these signals. And I want you to take notes here. Seriously, go grab a pen, open up your notes app, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at your resume completely different. You'll see exactly where your resume is missing these signals. And more importantly, you'll know exactly how to add them. Let's start with number 1. Okay, signal number 1, evidence of decision-making under ambiguity. Here's what this means. When I was scanning your resume, I wasn't just looking for what you did. I was looking for proof that you made judgment calls when there wasn't a clear playbook, that you operated kind of in the gray area. And why does this matter? Because Amazon and honestly most other high-growth companies operate in constant ambiguity. They're launching new products, entering new markets, solving problems that don't have established solutions. They can't afford to hire people who freeze up when the answer isn't obvious. So what was I looking for? I was scanning for specific language patterns, words like defined, established, determined approach, designed framework, but with context that showed no one handed you the answer. Here's an example. Let's say you have a bullet point that says followed customer segmentation process to identify target accounts. Okay, that tells me you can follow directions, but it doesn't tell me that you can think. Now compare that to established customer segmentation criteria for new market entry where no historical data existed, resulting in $2 million pipeline in Q1. Do you see the difference there? The second one tells me the person was dropped into uncertainty, made a decision about how to move forward, and drove results. That's the signal. Go through your resume right now, mentally or literally, and ask yourself, where did I make a decision that someone else would have made differently? Where did I define the path forward instead of following one? If you can't find that evidence, you need to add it, because I promise you, that's what separates the maybe pile from the interview immediately pile. Signal number 2. The score creep signal. Okay, this one's interesting because it sounds really negative, right? Score creep is usually really bad, but when I saw it on a resume, I got excited. Here's why. High performers don't stay in their lane, right? They see a problem adjacent to their work and they just handle it. They don't ask for permission. They don't wait for it to become officially part of their job description. They just do it. So when I was reading through your bullets, I was looking for evidence that you voluntarily expanded beyond your role boundaries, that you pulled more responsibility toward you, And what does this look like? Let's say you're a data analyst. Your job is to analyze data, but your resume mentions created documentation for new hires on data infrastructure or trained 3 junior analysts on SQL best practices. Wait, that's not your job. Your manager didn't tell you to do that, but you did it anyway because you saw the need. That tells me something about your ownership mentality. Or maybe you're in marketing and you have a bullet that says, collaborated with sales to refine lead qualification criteria after noticing misalignment in handoff process. You could have just complained about sales sending bad leads, right? But instead, you fixed it. And that's scope creep in the best possible way. Here's your action item. Look at your resume and identify at least one thing you did that technically wasn't your job. Something you took on because you cared about the outcome, not because someone assigned it to you. If you don't have this signal on your resume, you're missing a huge opportunity to show ownership. Add it. Number 3, recovery stories. Okay, this one might surprise you, but some of my favorite resumes were the ones that showed failure or at least inherited disaster and then showed recovery. Here's the thing. Every role involves problems. Projects fail. Strategies don't work. You inherit messes from the person who had the job before you. That's reality. What I needed to know as a recruiter was, can you handle it? Or do you just crumble? Most people only put their wins on their resume. Increased revenue by 30%. Launched product ahead of schedule. Great. But that doesn't tell me what you're doing when things go completely wrong. So I was actively looking for recovery language. Words like inherited, turned around, stabilized, recovered, rebuilt, reversed. Here's an example. Instead of managed sales territory with $5 million in annual revenue, what if your resume said inherited underperforming sales territory at 60% of quota and increased revenue to 120% of quota within 6 months through relationship building and account segmentation? Now I know you can walk into a bad situation and fix it. That's incredibly valuable because guess what? The role I'm hiring for probably has problems. I need someone who doesn't need perfect conditions to succeed. Or let's say you're in operations. Instead of managed inventory system, try stabilized inventory system after Q2 accuracy dropped 98%. Implementing new audit protocols that brought accuracy to 98% within 90 days. Do you see how much more powerful that is? You're showing resilience, problem solving, and the ability to course correct. So here's what I want you to do. Think about the time that something went wrong in your role. Maybe you inherited a complete mess. Maybe a project failed and you had to pivot. Maybe a system broke. Don't hide that. Leverage it. Show what you did to fix it. That's the signal I was looking for. Signal number 4, the velocity indicator. Speed matters. At Amazon, we had this leadership principle called bias for action. It basically means fast execution beats perfect planning. And I was looking for evidence that you understood that. So when I read your resume, I wasn't just looking at what you accomplished, I was looking at how fast you did it. Because honestly, most people can eventually get things done if you give them unlimited time. The question is, can you move quickly? Here's what I was scanning for. Timeline clues. Any mention of speed. Phrases like within 2 weeks, 30-day sprint, rapid prototyping, accelerated timeline, ahead of schedule. Let me show you the difference. Bullet point 1, launched new customer onboarding process that improved satisfaction scores by 25%. Okay, that's cool, but how long did it take you to do that? 6 months? A year? I don't know. Now, version 2, launched new customer onboarding process in 6 weeks, 4 weeks faster than initial timeline, improving satisfaction scores by 25%. Now, I'm super interested because you just told me you move fast and you beat expectations. That's a double signal. Boom. Okay, here's another example. Instead of developed data dashboard for executive team, try developed and deployed executive data dashboard in 2-week sprint, enabling real-time decision-making during critical product launch. The timeline gives me context. It tells me you're not someone who gets stuck in analysis paralysis. You ship. Here's your homework. Go through every single bullet point on your resume and ask yourself this: is there a timeline I can add here? Even if the timeline wasn't especially fast, adding it gives me crucial context about your working speed. If you did move quickly on something, for the love of God, just tell me. That's a massive signal that most people leave off of their resume entirely. Okay, point number 5 here is the collaborative tension navigation. Everyone says they're a great collaborator or a team player. Every single resume I saw mentioned collaboration. So that phrase meant absolutely nothing to me. What I was actually looking for: evidence that you've navigated conflicting stakeholders, that you've worked across teams that didn't naturally agree, that you've operated in political complexity. Because here's the reality at working at a big company. Cross-functional projects are a nightmare. Engineering wants more time. Marketing wants to launch faster. Finance wants to cut the budget. Legal wants to review everything. Everyone has competing priorities. The people who succeed in that environment aren't just collaborative. They're diplomatic. They can drive alignment when natural alignment just doesn't exist. So what was I scanning for? Language like aligned, facilitated between, drove consensus among, reconciled competing priorities, navigated stakeholder disagreements, built alignment across. Here's an example. Here's a basic version. Collaborated with cross-functional teams to launch new product feature. Yawn, every resume says this. It tells me nothing. Okay, now watch this. Aligned engineering, marketing, and finance teams on product roadmap despite competing Q3 priorities, facilitating weekly alignment meetings that resulted in on-time launch with full stakeholder buy-in. That tells me you can handle the messy middle. You didn't just work with other teams, you got teams that disagreed with each other to move in the same direction. That's a completely different skill level. Or another example, instead of worked with sales and marketing to improve lead quality, try reconciled conflicting definitions of qualified lead between sales and marketing teams, establishing shared criteria that reduced lead rejection rate from 40% to 12%. You're showing me you walked into tension and resolved it. That's what I need to know. So here's what you should ask yourself. Have you ever been in the middle of two teams or stakeholders who wanted two completely different things? Have you ever had to get people to agree who naturally didn't agree? If yes, put that on your resume in the specific language I just gave you, because that signal is really rare. And when I saw it, that person jumped to the top of my list. Signal number 6 is scale language. This one's simple, but so many people miss it. I needed to understand the size and complexity of what you were working on, because there's a massive difference between managing a project with 3 people and managing a project with 30 people, between affecting 100 users and affecting 100,000 users. But most resumes don't give me that context. They just say managed a project or led an initiative, and I'm left guessing, how big was this actually? So here's what I was hunting for: numbers that show scale, team size, budget size, user volume, data volume, geographic scope, number of stakeholders, anything that helps me calibrate the magnitude of your work. Let me show you examples. Instead of led product launch, you could say led product launch for 50,000 users across 8 countries, coordinating 12 cross-functional teams, and managing a $2 million budget. Do you see how much more impressive that is? Now I understand the complexity you were operating in. Or instead of improved database performance, try improved database performance for system processing 10 million daily transactions, reducing query time by 40%, and supporting 200% user growth without infrastructure increase. The scale context makes your achievement so much more meaningful. Because honestly, improving performance on a small database is a very different challenge than optimizing for 10 million daily transactions. Here's another angle on this. Let's say you're in a support role. Instead of provided customer support, You could say, provided tier 2 technical support for 200,000 enterprise customers, handling escalations from 15-person support team and maintaining a 95% satisfaction rating. Okay, now I know. This person operated at enterprise scale. They dealt with escalated issues, and they still maintain that quality. That tells me that they can handle Amazon's volume. Your action step: go through your resume and add scale context to every major accomplishment. How many people? How much money? How many users? How many countries? How much data? Whatever dimension makes your work feel bigger and more complex, quantify it. Because without that context, I'm probably underestimating what you actually did. Okay, and finally, signal number 7. Self-directed learning evidence. This might be the most underrated one on this entire list. I was actively looking for proof that you taught yourself something without being sent to training, that you independently closed your own skill gaps. Why did this matter so much? Because technology and business processes change faster than any company's training budget. If I hire you and 6 months later you need a new skill, I can't afford to wait for you to be spoon-fed that knowledge. I need you to figure it out. So what was I scanning for? Language like self-taught, independently learned, earned certification while employed, mention of tools or skills that clearly weren't part of your original job requirements. So here's a great example. Instead of used Excel to create reports, try self-taught advanced Excel, pivot tables, Power Query, VBA macros to automate weekly reporting process, reducing manual work from 15 hours to 2 hours per week. That tells me 3 things. You identified a problem, you independently acquired the skill to solve it, and you drove impact. That's a triple signal. Or let's say you're in marketing. Instead of managed email campaigns, independently learned SQL to extract customer data directly from database, eliminating 2-day delay in campaign deployment and enabling real-time segmentation. Wait, you taught yourself SQL? You weren't a data analyst. You were a marketer, but you saw the bottleneck and you fixed it by learning a new skill. That's the mentality that I was looking for. Or here's another angle, but not just any certifications. If you earned a certification while you were already employed and it wasn't required for your job, that's a signal. It tells me you're investing in your own growth. For example, earned AWS Solutions Architect certification while working as DevOps engineer. Applied knowledge to migrate 3 production applications to cloud infrastructure, reducing hosting costs by 35%. You didn't wait for your company to send you to training. You went and got the knowledge yourself, and then you applied it. That's initiative. So here's what I want you to do. Think about the last skill you learned on your own. Maybe it was a tool, maybe it was a programming language, maybe it was a framework or methodology. If you taught it to yourself, and especially if you then applied it to drive results, put that on your resume with the specific language that I just gave you. Because here's the truth. When I saw evidence of self-directed learning, it told me this person will stay relevant. They won't become obsolete. They won't need their hand held. And that is someone that I want on my team. Okay, let's recap what we just covered because this is so important. The 7 hidden signals recruiters are actually scanning for. 1, evidence of decision-making under ambiguity. Proof you can operate without a playbook. 2, the scope creep signal, showing you voluntarily expand beyond your role. 3, recovery stories, demonstrating you can fix problems and inherit messes. 4, collaborative tension navigation, showing you can align conflicting stakeholders. 6, scale language, giving context about the size and complexity of your work. 7, self-directed learning evidence, proving you independently close your own skill gaps. These are not the basic resume tips you've heard 1,000 times. These are the subtle patterns that made me stop scrolling and say, I need to interview this person. And here's what I want you to understand today. Your resume probably already has the foundation. You probably already have quantified achievements, clean formatting, relevant keywords, right? But if you're still not getting interviews, it's because you're missing these signals. The good news, you can add them. Today, like right now, go through your resume with this framework and ask yourself, where can I add evidence of ambiguity or navigation? Where did I expand my scope? Where did I recover from a problem? Where did I move fast? Where did I navigate tension? Where did I add scale context? Where did I learn something new completely on my own? Answer those questions, and your resume transforms from fine to interview immediately. Now, if you want help actually implementing this, if you want someone to review and rewrite your resume with recruiter eyes and tell you exactly where these signals are missing, that's literally what I do at Resume Assassin. I've helped over 4,000 people land offers at top companies, and I'd love to help you too. Visit resumeassassin.com to schedule a free 15-minute resume strategy with me today. And if this video helped you see your resume differently, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I share recruiter insights like this every single week. The stuff most coaches never tell you because they've never actually been in the room where hiring decisions are made. Thanks for watching. Now go fix your resume, and I'll see you in the next one.